The sound of rushing water was John's comfort every morning. His cabin, nestled by a clear running creek, had been in his family for generations. That creek wasn't just water, it was life, memory, and the reason he stayed on the land. But one morning, the water wasn't singing. It was silent. Confused, John walked out to find Karen, the self-proclaimed HOA president, standing with her arms crossed. Behind her, workers were pouring cement into the creek bed. His heart sank. "This is HOA property," Karen snapped, pointing at the creek. "We've decided it's an eyesore. We're closing it." John couldn't believe it. "This creek runs through my land, it's my water. You can't touch it." Karen only smirked. "We'll see about that." The cement hardened, silencing the flow. For the first time in decades, John's land felt lifeless. But what Karen didn't know was that nature has a way of finding justice. And so did John. John paced on his porch, staring at the dead creek. The silence pressed on his chest like a weight. For years, the water had fed his garden, his livestock, and even his spirit. Now, all that was gone because Karen wanted control. He called the county office, but Karen had already filed paperwork claiming the creek was HOA managed. The clerk shrugged, telling John, "You'll need proof of ownership." Karen strutted by later that day, heels clicking on the gravel road. "How's the silence treating you, John?" she mocked. He clenched his fists but stayed calm. "You've made a mistake." Karen laughed. "No, you made the mistake of living near us." That night, John dug through old family records. His grandfather's deeds, maps, water rights, all neatly preserved. He felt a fire ignite within him. This wasn't just about land anymore. It was about dignity, heritage, and justice. When John showed up at the county office with his thick folder of documents, the clerk's eyes widened. The deeds were crystal clear. The creek and water rights belonged to John's family, stretching back nearly a century. Meanwhile, Karen was busy bragging at an HOA meeting. "The creek is gone, and now property values will rise," she announced proudly. Neighbors clapped, though uneasily, knowing how extreme she could be, but nature was already stirring. Without the creek's flow, pressure was building underground. Hidden channels rerouted the water, searching for release. The first signs came when Karen's yard turned soft, her garden soil turning to mud overnight. She frowned, complaining about bad drainage. But by the end of the week, her basement floor glistened with damp patches. She dismissed it until she heard the sound of running water echoing beneath her home. Karen stormed to John's cabin, fury written all over her face. "Did you do this?" she barked, pointing toward her house. "My basement is flooding." John stayed calm. "I told you water has a way of finding its path." Her eyes blazed. "You'll pay for this. I'll sue you." But John knew better. He filed his claim in court, presenting the deeds, maps, and even historic photographs of the creek running freely through his property. The judge listened carefully, eyebrows raised as John's evidence stacked higher and higher. Karen's lawyer fumbled with her flimsy HOA declaration. It was nothing but vague rules with no legal weight over private water rights. The courtroom buzzed with whispers. For once, Karen's confidence faltered, and just as the judge leaned forward, the bailiff handed him a new file, photos of Karen's basement, now waist-deep in rising water. By now, Karen's home looked less like a house and more like an aquarium. Fish swam through her basement windows, the water from the blocked creek finding its revenge. Neighbors gathered outside, snapping photos and whispering in disbelief. At the hearing, John calmly explained, by blocking the creek, she forced the water to reroute underground. Nature is correcting her mistake. The judge sighed. "It seems your HOA overstepped. The evidence is undeniable." Karen stood, shaking her head. "No, this can't be happening. I was trying to protect property values." John turned toward her, his voice steady. "And you destroyed what made this place valuable in the first place." The courtroom erupted in murmurs. The judge banged his gavel. "HOA's claim is dissolved. Full restoration of the creek is ordered immediately, and damages fall on the HOA board." Karen's face turned pale. Back at the neighborhood, workers dug feverishly to undo the cement. The creek, once strangled, burst free with renewed strength, water sparkling in the sun as it roared down its rightful path. Karen stood on her porch, arms crossed, but her eyes betrayed her. She was broken, watching the very creek she tried to erase reclaim its power. The neighbors avoided her gaze, her reign of intimidation had finally cracked. John, standing on his dock, felt the earth breathe again. The sound of rushing water returned, more alive than ever. His heart swelled. Reporters arrived, snapping pictures of Karen's fish tank basement. The story spread like wildfire online, painting her as the face of HOA arrogance gone wrong. For John, though, it wasn't about humiliation. It was about victory, quiet, steady, and natural. The final blow came weeks later. The HOA board, once loyal to Karen, voted her out. With lawsuits piling up and neighbors blaming her for the disaster, she retreated into silence. Meanwhile, John's cabin became a symbol of resilience. Families from nearby towns visited, curious to see the creek that fought back. The water glistened, fish leapt joyfully, and the air carried the music of freedom. John stood proudly on his porch, knowing he hadn't just defended his rights, he had protected the legacy of generations before him. Karen, peering from her now-drained basement, would never forget the sound of water she had tried to silence. And with that, the story closed not with anger, but with nature's calm reminder: you cannot cage what was meant to flow. And that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.